Hello students, hope you all are doing well and are ready to continue your journey of quantum mechanics with me. This is the fourth lecture in continuation of the quantum mechanics lecture series, and moreover I believe that you have gone through all the previous three lectures in order to understand the further advancement of this topic. Today in this lecture we will learn how the Schrodinger equations were developed and what are their importance in quantum mechanics. So let us begin. So this lecture is focused on the derivation of Schrodinger equations and their importance in the quantum mechanics. But first, let me give you the major conclusion of the last lecture, which was the idea proposed by the de Broglie. He said that every matter in this universe has a wave behavior associated with it. It is associated with macroscopic particle and microscopic particles as well, although this behavior is significant or you can say observable only for microscopic particles. But now you may ask that what about the particles which have fixed location? As you know, the macroscopic particles, classical mechanics can give a very localized knowledge about their position. So what about their wave behavior? In that case, we can say that those particles would have a concentrated group of waves. Mean बहुत सारी वेव हो सकता है वहां पर कॉन्सेंट्रेटेड हो जिसकी वजह से जो पार्टिकल्स हैं वो फिक्स लोकेशंस के साथ हैं. नाउ comes the idea of a wave function. Where there will be a wave, there will be a wave function. Why? In order to define a wave, we take a function which will have all the details about that wave. You can understand it in a sense that you know about the equation of a straight line. Straight line की equation आपने सुनी है, y is equal to mx plus c. अब वो straight line है, लेकिन वो जो equation है, वो जो y function है x का, it has all the details about that straight line, about its slope, about its intercept and all. So if we want to have complete knowledge about a wave, then of course we will need a function describing the that wave, and that function will be known as the wave function, and its symbol is psi. Now psi is a function of r and t. R is of course a further function of x, y and z, the Cartesian coordinates. So psi is a function of space coordinates having x, y and z, or sometimes maybe coordinate simply in terms of r, and the next coordinate is time t. Now this psi rt can provide us almost the whole information about the physical state of any system at any particular time t. Sometimes the wave function is also called as state function. What is its importance? क्यों wave function इतना ज़रूरी है? Because यही wave function particles की probability से related है, particle की occurrence से related है, that at time t can it be at position r given by the function psi rt. So it is important to know about the particulars of the particle. Now the significance of the square of psi. See students, the wave function is in general a complex quantity. Generally psi जो है वो हमारा complex रहता है. क्यों? Because you know in physics there are so many physical systems to explain. Every physical system is a different problem to describe in physics. Then obviously if you want to know about that complex physical system, obviously the details or the calculation involved will be very complex, and the related wave function, if we want to calculate, will be a complex quantity, and that complex, in from mathematics, can be written in terms of or in the form of a plus iota b. So it is larger in magnitude where the particle is likely to be present, and at other places this magnitude is small. As I said, students, that the wave function psi is related to the occurrence of particle, is related to the presence of particle. So where the particle is actually present, obviously the magnitude of psi will be greater at those places, and at other places where the probability is low of finding the particle, the magnitude will be obviously small. Now the square of this wave function, psi square, the psi itself is a complex quantity, so the psi square gives the probability density. We will see this in this video later on, that it is the probability density to find the physical system or any particle or any photon at a particular place at a particular time. So if psi is complex, it can be written as a plus iota b. Obviously its complex conjugate can be written as psi star a minus iota b, and the product psi into psi star will be a real quantity. You know it from, it is a mathematical result, which is always a positive real quantity, as a and b both are real. The imaginary part was iota, and this quantity will be called as the probability density. Now we have defined a wave function, so it must be associated with any physical system. Now every wave function, every nature of wave function, or every equation that is written for wave function cannot be accepted. There are certain conditions that our wave function, which is defined for our physical system, is a well-behaved one. Psi square is the probability density, and since this is the probability density, so psi gives us all the required information. What we desire from any physical system, we want to know the momentum of the particles inside the physical system. We want to know about the energy of the particles. We want to know about the positions of the particles. So psi square is important to us. So for the same reason, it has to be well behaved and it must obey certain conditions. What are those certain conditions? That psi must be finite. It should not be infinite. It should give us certain values for the given x, y, and z. Next, it must be single valued. Obviously, if you enter one set of x, y, and z, and psi gives you back two or more, then it would be difficult to say that the wave function is a well behaved. It must be continuous. It must not be discontinuous, as discontinuity means infinite values, and uh, this this condition is not for the regions where the potential is infinite. Uh, we will understand this infinite potential regions also in this lecture. Next, at infinity, psi must become 0. As the coordinates x, y, and z tends to infinite somewhere, then psi must become 0 at those positions. Next, if we calculate the derivatives of psi with respect to x, y, and z, they too, in parallel to psi, be finite, be single value, and be continuous at all points, again except for infinite potential regions. So, if your wave function fulfills these conditions, then those wave functions are acceptable. Next, why do we need a differential wave equation? You know, the Schrodinger wave equation is a differential wave equation. So we see that why do we need it? Students, you have learned that in classical mechanics, the motion of macroscopic dimensional particles is always governed by the Newton's laws of motion. We can explain any macroscopic system using Newton's laws. In microscopic dimension, the motion of particle is governed by the de Broglie wave function psi rt that we are discussing right now. And we also know now that the psi is complex and square of its modulus is the probability of finding the particle at position vector r and the time t. And obviously we want to know the complete behavior of particle in space and time. So we want to know actually psi rt. It should be known well at all times to us. And for this purpose, it becomes very necessary to us that we write a differential equation that governs the space-time behavior of psi of that physical system that we want to explore. And after writing that differential equation, the solution of that equation will give us the whole information about the motion of the particle or the motion of any physical system with time. And these equations were first developed by Schrödinger and therefore known after his name. Students, notice this also. The Schrödinger equations are the equations that describes the state of any quantum mechanical system. It is a very important result in quantum mechanics. This discovery was literally a significant landmark in the development of quantum mechanics. These equations are named after Erwin Schrödinger, and for this work, he also got the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1933. So let us learn how the Schrödinger wave equation in time-dependent form can be derived. Student, it is very easy. So make up your mind that just by using two or three results, very common results of quantum mechanics, we can develop the Schrödinger wave equation. The task is literally very easy. We start from a plane wave equation. A plane wave, any plane wave, can be in general written as y is equal to a multiplied by the exponential part, where what is omega? Omega is angular frequency, can be written as 2 pi nu. K is the wave vector, can be written in terms of lambda, the wavelength, as 2 pi by lambda. In the last lecture, we have learned that the Planck's quantum theory simply says that E is equal to h nu. From here, I can write nu as E over h. Momentum भी हम निकाल सकते हैं. Px can be written as h over lambda. You have to put these both results into the plane wave equation. After calculating the values of omega t and kx right here, and just rewrite the plane wave equation, which becomes, after substituting the value of omega t and kx, it becomes a exponential minus iota over h cross into et minus xpx. We have written this wave equation only in x direction. It is a one-dimensional plane wave. So you can also write the same equation if the system you are studying, the electron or proton you are studying, if it moves in negative x direction, just reverse it by the negative sign. You have to just replace it. I show you here. There, you have to just put here the sign plus, and the equation will be rewritten in the negative x direction. So now this is the result that I carry from the past slide. Now two cases arise. One, that the particle that you are studying, it is subjected to a force. It is under some influence of potential or any other force that it is subjected to. So, if it is so, it must be a sum of kinetic energy and potential energy. The sum gives us the total energy of the particle. Half mv square, it can be written in terms of momentum p. How it can be written? You just multiply by m in the numerator and denominator. The numerator gives us p square and denominator becomes 2m. Put it back, it becomes energy E as p square by 2m plus v. Multiply both sides by the wave function psi xt. I have written here xt, not rt, because the wave equation uh, written was only one dimensional. So on multiplying, we get p square by 2m psi xt plus v psi xt is equal to E psi. Now you need values of E psi to put in this equation. It can be get from the plane wave equation from above. Just differentiate it, curly psi by curly t, and after solving it gives you value of E psi. Next you need the value of P psi. See here, this P square psi. Now this can also be solved from this equation. You just differentiate with respect to x and you arrive at, and after double differentiation you just get the value of p square psi, which becomes minus h square, h cross square curly square psi over curly x square. Substitute these both values in the earlier derived result and it becomes minus h cross square over 2m curly square psi over curly x square plus b psi is equal to at h cross curly psi over curly t. You can see that these are the just substitution of above calculated result in this. So students, this becomes our one dimensional time dependent wave equation for the particle which is subjected to a force. सी हमने इस डेरिवेशन में कुछ खास नहीं किया. आई जस्ट रिवाइज यू फॉर one glimpse. We have written the equation of a plane wave. Just substitute the value of omega and k calculated from Planck's quantum theory. As you get the value of omega t and kx, just rewrite it. Just rewrite it. And after rewritten this equation, you just need to write the total energy for the particle, multiplying and substitute the values of p square psi and E psi from the plane wave equation, and you can get the Schrodinger one-dimensional time-dependent wave equation for the particle which is subjected to a force. Now you need to study the second case, which is the particle where v is equal to 0, mean the particle is free, it is not subjected to any kind of force. So this is the equation I carry from the last slide. What is this? This is Schrodinger one-dimensional time-dependent wave equation for a particle subjected to a force. We just need to put v is equal to 0 in this equation. Obviously, if you put v equal to 0, then you are left with just one term on the left hand side and one term on the right hand side, and it becomes simply the Schrodinger one-dimensional time-dependent wave equation, but for a free particle. Now, these are the equations written in one dimension. If you wish to write this equation in three dimensional, just extend the psi dependence in x, y and z. पहले सिर्फ x में था तो आपने x, y और z तीनों में लिखना है. तीनों में लिखने के लिए आप क्या करेंगे? ये जो डबल डेरिवेशन है psi का, just extend it to x, y and z. x, y and z, and here also psi will now depend upon psi rt. R is function of x, y and z. Now this term in the bracket becomes operator del minus h cut square over 2m. Now it becomes del square psi rt is equal to I attach cross curly psi over curly t. Now what is this equation? This equation is Schrodinger's three-dimensional time-dependent wave equation, as it was for free particles. So now this is also for a free particle. Now let me introduce you to the Hamiltonian operator. As you know, this is the equation we have derived. This is the time-dependent Schrodinger wave equation in three dimensions. You can see here the variable r is used. So this is Schrodinger three-dimensional wave equation, time-dependent. And this equation I write here in the form of this. You just take common psi rt from here and you are left with this equation. The bracketed term here on the left side and the right hand side is same as before, and I rewrite further this equation as h psi rt is equal to e psi rt. What is this h? I have replaced this bracketed form into this h, and this cap denotes that this h is an operator, and write this iota h cross curly by curly t as e. This cap on e again shows that this is an operator. Now H cap is the Hamiltonian operator. E cap is the energy operator, of course. Now what is this operator? Operator is any mathematical rule, any mathematical operation that you can apply over some function and get some results. It can be addition, it can be subtraction, it can be multiplication, division, differentiation, integration, finding square roots, whatever the mathematics suggests to us. Here also you can see that it is what is it here? It is a differentiation applying over the function psi xt. So it is an operator. So it is an operator, same here. Now understand what are eigenfunction and eigenvalues. Any function f will said to be a eigenfunction of any operator a if on operating a, as operator operates on some function, then if this operator a operates on function f, then in case you get the same function just multiplied by some constant c, then you mean this condition is written in terms of this operator a is applied over the function f, and you just get the function f multiplied by some constant c. Now the c will be the eigenvalue of this operator a, and this complete equation is known as the eigenvalue equation. I just give you a small exercise for you people. You can drop your answers in the comment box. I have written that operator A I have given to you, the function I have given to you. You have to tell me the eigenvalue of operator A. So now let us move ahead to derive the time-independent Schrodinger wave equation. Earlier we have derived time-dependent one. So now making use of that equation, time-dependent, this equation A is time-dependent wave equation. This is the time-dependent Schrodinger wave equation written in one-dimensional form. So now, if the wave equation has to be time independent, so number one, the potential should not depend on time now, and it is a function of x only. Next, the total energy E will be a constant now. Wave function obviously can be written now as two independent functions of x and t. Means psi xt, you can write it now as psi of x and f of t, a product of two functions, two independent functions. One is of x and second is of time t. Now from this psi xt equation, you can calculate curly psi over curly t simply, and curly psi over curly x, and its double derivative also, curly square psi over curly x square. As we are going to deduce the time independent form of Schrodinger wave equation, just keep it in mind that we have to eliminate the function ft from our final expression. So evaluate curly psi by curly t using the plane wave equation. दिस इज द प्लेन वेव इक्वेशन. ये प्लेन वेव की इक्वेशन है जो हमने पीछे यूज भी किया था, जहां से हमने करली साई बाय करली टी को निकाल लिया. करली साई बाय करली टी को निकाल के हमने इसमें से एफ टी को सेपरेट कर लिया. सेपरेट करने के बाद इट विल बी इजी फॉर अस टू टेक इट कॉमन और अदरवाइज. सो नाउ जस्ट पुट दिस डिड्यूस्ड एक्सप्रेशन इन इक्वेशन ए. After putting the values in the time dependent form, we get this equation. As you can see, the ft is now separated. As this is separated, I can take it common or simply divide it by ft on left hand and right hand side, and this is eliminated. The remainder part of equation is this. I am just taking e psi x on the left hand side, and I am left with this form of equation. Now this equation is the Schrodinger one dimensional time independent form. हमने क्या किया है, हमने सिर्फ टाइम डिपेंडेंस जो ft में थी उसको हमने एलिमिनेट किया है. वी हैव एलिमिनेट द टोटल टाइम डिपेंडेंस आउट ऑफ द टाइम डिपेंडेंट श्रोडिंजर वेव इक्वेशन. जो श्रोडिंजर टाइम डिपेंडेंट वेव इक्वेशन थी उसमें से हमने टाइम डिपेंडेंट पार्ट को अलग निकाल लिया, और हमारे पास जो रिमाइंडर पार्ट है that is the Schrodinger one dimensional time independent form of the wave equation. If I want to write it in three dimensional form, so I just need to take this derivative in all the three directions, and this psi x will also replace with psi rt, and this become del square psi plus 2m over h cross square e minus v psi x. This is not x, this must be r here, and this becomes the Schrodinger three-dimensional time independent wave equation. So we have derived both the time dependent and time independent Schrodinger wave equations. Now let us learn about the normalization of a wave equation. What do you understand by normalization process? Students, you have seen that the probability of finding any particle which is given by psi square, and obviously since it is a probability, so it must be real, it must be positive. Being psi as complex, we write probability density as product of psi and psi star, where psi star is complex conjugate to psi. Now just assume that there is a small volume dv, and the coordinates of this volume is x, x plus dx, y, y plus dy, and z, z plus dz, or in terms of r, it becomes r or r plus dr. These coordinates define the volume element dv. Now I want to know the probability of finding the particle within this volume dv. How can you write that probability? This is the probability of finding particle, and if I wish to find the probability in the volume dv, it becomes p dv, or psi star psi into dv, or psi star psi is psi square into dv, or dx dy dz. It becomes a probability in volume dv. And if I write it in a finite volume v, it is not volume element, small volume element, it is a finite volume v, then you just need to integrate over the complete space v on both sides, and you get the complete probability. This is the probability in volume V. If you uh, uh, want to know about the probability in all space, then you just need to integrate it over all space and the right hand side becomes 1. Now why it is 1? See students, this is the probability which you are trying to find out, and if you are integrating it over all space, it means that okay, we don't know exactly where the particle is. हम सही से नहीं जानते कि पार्टिकल कहाँ है, हम सिर्फ प्रोबेबिलिटी कैलकुलेट कर रहे हैं. बट अगर हम अपनी कैलकुलेशन को पूरे स्पेस पर इंटीग्रेट कर रहे हैं, देन ऑब्वियसली वी नो दैट पार्टिकल कहीं ना कहीं तो है. द पार्टिकल इज फॉर श्योर इट समवेयर इन द रीजन. कहीं ना कहीं तो है. ऑब्वियसली अगर हम पूरे स्पेस के ऊपर इंटीग्रेशन कर देंगे तो प्रोबेबिलिटी शुड बी 1. The probability should be 1. The probability of the particle in the complete region is 1. As the particle is certainly somewhere. Certainly somewhere. So probability is maximum, or you can say as 1. Now what is normalization factor? See students, sometimes what happens, as the total probability is 1, but sometimes what happens that we have a wave function that does not satisfy this condition. This is the normalization condition. If the wave function satisfies this condition, then it is okay. But sometimes, if this condition is not satisfied, then that wave function is not normalized one. So, in that case, what we have to do, we have to multiply, or you can say, in order to make this wave function a normalized one. Now, we want to make this wave function normalized, and in that case we have to multiply it by a factor a. Why I am multiplying it by a? Because I want to normalize my wave function, and on multiplication, if it satisfies the normalization condition, then obviously I can also calculate the normalization factor a. Now this a is called the normalization factor. क्यों हमने इसको normalization factor बोला? क्योंकि इसको use करके हमने हमारा wave function जो है वो normalize कर लिया. Now this is called the normalization constant or the normalization factor. So I am again giving you an exercise, a small exercise. Just normalize this wave function psi x and tell me your answers. Now understand the importance of normalization. See students, as a wave function written for any physical system, it can have arbitrary amplitude. It can have arbitrary parameters defining it. And the Schrodinger wave equation is a linear differential equation that you have seen. And if you multiply it by any magnitude, then too the result of wave function that you obtain, it will still be its solution. So it doesn't matter, it doesn't make any difference to the Schrodinger wave equation. I mean, the multiplying by any constant or any arbitrary factor, it doesn't make any difference to the Schrodinger wave equation. But after multiplication, the wave function becomes normalized, and then the amplitude has a fixed constant value. It doesn't have arbitrary values now, and this constant value, it makes the wave function as a valid wave function, a describable wave function, a acceptable wave function. Now the last part of this lecture, the expectation values. What are the expectation values? You might know that what are the dynamical variables. Dynamical variables क्या होते हैं किसी भी सिस्टम के? Dynamical, as the name suggests, which changes with time. किसी भी सिस्टम में particles keeps on changing with time. They keeps on changing their energy, they keep on changing their positions. Obviously their momentum also change with time. So position, momentum, energy, all these are the dynamical variables as they keeps on change, dynamical with time. Now expectation values. एक्सपेक्टेशन वैल्यू समझने से पहले आपको समझना होगा एवरेज वैल्यू क्या होती है, एंड यू अंडरस्टैंड दिस एवरेज वैल्यू वेरी वेल इन मैथमेटिक्स. Just assume that a particle is moving along x direction. Now, while in motion, the position coordinate x of the particle, it takes many values as it is moving, so it will take values x1, x2, x3 and so on up to n I say. x एक्सिस की तरफ चलते हुए पार्टिकल कई पोजीशंस बदलता है और मैं यहाँ पर वो उन पोजीशंस को x1, x2, xn तक नाम दे रही हूँ. Now, if you want to write the average value of x, average value of that position, then what will you do? Obviously, you will sum up all these values of x obtained along x axis and divided by the total number n. हम यही करते हैं एवरेज करते हुए क्या करते हो आप सभी जितनी वैल्यूज है उनका सम लेके उनके जितनी वो वैल्यूज हैं उनके टोटल से आप उनको डिवाइड कर देते हो एज हेयर द वैल्यूज टोटल आर n. So you can rewrite it as summation of xi where I goes from 1 to n divided by the n, and this is the average value of x. Now I am giving more details about this situation. Now I say that along moving x direction, the particle takes the value x1 m1 times, x2 m2 times and so on. What I mean that x axis की तरफ जाते हुए पार्टिकल x1 पोजीशन पर m1 बार आता है, x2 पोजीशन पर m2 बार आता है और इसी तरह से xn पोजीशन पर mn टाइम्स आता है. अब आपको एवरेज निकालना है and now it becomes m1 x1 obviously m2 x2 plus keep on writing till mn xn divided by the total weightage that we get for all these values of x1 to xn. हमें हर एक पोजीशन जैसे x1 पे m1 बार आया तो हमने उन सबको यहाँ पर ऐड कर लिया and obviously the total values are n and then the m1 plus m2 plus mn up to mn, it is nothing but the total n. Here you can see the sum of mi's are nothing but the value n and the numerator becomes summation of mi xi where I goes from 1 to n. You can simply write it as summation I goes from 1 to n as n is a constant, so you can write it in as a denominator mi over n into xi. Now what is this? This is just the same result on the past slide. We have arrived over here. हम यहाँ पहुँच गए थे. This is the average value of the positions of x. Now see this quantity mi over n. What is this? n वो टोटल है जितनी पोजीशंस उस पार्टिकल ने x एक्सिस के अलोंग ली. mi वो वैल्यू है जब उसने ith पोजीशन पर वो कितनी बार आया. It means it just give us the probability that total n वैल्यू में से mi वैल्यूज आपके पास कितनी बार अकर हुई हैं. What is the definition of probability in mathematics? It is the time in which the event occurred divided by the total number of events. So it is just the probability. So now if I say that instead of discrete values, हमने discrete values assume की थी x की x1 x2 up to xn. Now I am saying that instead of discrete x is taking continuous values. X is taking continuous values. Now, what will you do? You just need to replace this summation sign with the integration sign. As you know, for discrete values, we add summation sign, and for continuous values, we need to do integration. So this equation becomes integration for I equal to 1 to n pxi over dx over all the x values. So taking this value, I am explaining the relation of probability with wave function. Now pdx is psi star psi dx. We know it, and pdx is the probability. And in order to know the exact result of probability, we just make a number of observations. And obviously, each observation, each measurement, every time give us different results. And if हम किसी भी result को आप प्रैक्टिकल्स करते हैं लैब में, उसमें आप क्या करते हैं, किसी एक रीडिंग को आप 3 बार लेते हैं टेबल बनाते हुए। आप एक्सपेरिमेंटल ऑब्जर्वेशंस जब भी रिकॉर्ड करते हैं तो हमेशा आपसे 3 या 4 बार सेट ऑफ रीडिंग्स आपसे दिखवाई जाती हैं, और फिर आप एंड में क्या करते हैं, उनका एवरेज करते हैं। वाई यू डू सो? आप एक ही बार क्यों नहीं कर लेते? But you have seen that every time you do the same experiment, you obtain the different result. And if we repeat experiment a number of times, then in the end take average of all those results, we get more accurate result of our experiment. So in order to calculate pdx, we just do observations over and again, and in the end we take average of all those values just to predict the position of particle, and this averaged value is known as the expectation value of the variable. So if I wish to write the expectation value of the position x, then write it from here. How you can write it? It is written as psi star, the operator x, and then psi star, and then dx. Just replace pdx here psi star psi, and here x is the variable. So from this equation you can write this equation. If you want to write the expectation value of momentum p, then this symbol is the symbol for expectation value. So if you wish to write the expectation value for momentum, you just need to write psi star x. Now the variable is replaced with the momentum variable, momentum operator, and psi x dx. And you know the momentum operator, it is r dash cross curly by curly x, and you can solve it for expectation value of momentum. Now expectation value of energy, how you can write it? You just replace it by energy operator. Energy operator कहाँ से लेते हो आप? आपने पहले निकाला है। Energy operator is nothing but I attach cross curly by curly t. Now this is the procedure that how we calculate the expectation values of any dynamical variable. So students, this is all about the Schrodinger equations. Well, I believe that you must be curious by now that how to apply the Schrodinger wave equations in solving any physical system. So in the next lecture, we will take some problems and use Schrodinger equations in order to get their solutions. Till then, thank you.